When I was preparing this message, there were some spiritual things that I discovered. One of the things was spiritually, if you haven't dealt with things in your life, you are more likely to go back. It's something that I never knew, but I discovered it's a spiritual thing. And we think it's a psychological thing. It's not. We have to deal with our pain. We have to deal with our issues. A wound is something that when you don't deal with it, can affect a lot of people. When I was thinking of this, I was thinking of how many civil wars were started because one person was wounded. You look at the gangs, you look at how gangs are. If one member of a gang can be injured, the whole community will pay for it. We have a saying in South Africa, an injury to one is an injury to all. If that is the case, it means if one person can be healed, then the world can be healed. It starts within. It starts with you. That's why I'm saying you can't give what you don't have. Sometimes no one wants people to know that they are hurting, particularly strong people. If you're like me, when you tell people that I'm going through a lot, they tell you, Masingita, come on. Really, and people, I'm a person. I go, and sometimes it makes strong people to commit suicide because, when you're a strong person, at least when you're a weak person, everybody pays attention to you. But when you're a strong person, nobody wants, it's like, oh, you, come on. But in reality, everybody goes through pain one time or another, and everybody gets wounded. And the reality is we have to deal with our wounds. Otherwise, if we don't deal with our wounds, we are likely to wound another person. Each and every person who hurt me, they had been hurt themselves. I'm not the only one who got hurt from those people. A lot of people got hurt. We've got emotional carriers. And sometimes we can be emotional carriers of wounds. That is why it is important that we heal so that the other person can heal as well. The younger you are, the quicker it is to get healed. I'm going to use a controversial example, but it's fine. If you look at people or men who get circumcised, the younger they are, the quicker it is to get healed. If a 2-year-old, I know this because in my family, you would find that they get a 2-year-old boy and a 6-year-old boy going for circumcision at the same time. The 2-year-old boy, when they come, the day they come, you won't even say they were at the doctor. But the 6-year-old will be in bed. us girls, the younger you are to pierce your ears, you don't feel the pain. Apparently, I got my ears pierced at 6 months. Obviously, I don't remember what happened. I'm just told. But somebody who got pierced at 15, they'll tell you what happened. They will, every time something comes near their ear, they try to run away because they still remember the pain. Same as emotional wounds. If the younger you deal with your wounds, the quicker they heal. And the younger you deal with your wounds, you learn to deal with every pain that you are going through. Every time you go through something, you deal with it, you move on. Sometimes we just encourage not to deal with pain. We are told time heals. Time doesn't heal. It just covers, but like a spiral staircase. When you are going through a spiral staircase, which we may take as growing, you meet the same step. Every time you go high, you meet the same step. If we don't deal with issues, we will, somewhere along the line, we're still going to be confronted with the same issue.
Some of you probably are suffering from wounds that have been inflicted. It may not be about rejection, but there's a lot of scars and wounds that people carry. God is able to heal those scars and heal those wounds. It would be great for you as you listen to Masingita right now. Speak about how healing is possible. And my prayer for you is that as you listen to these words, may God anoint your ears and may God bring healing to your wounded heart.
The reality about wounds is it is a hole. Once you are wounded, there's a hole created. We need to deal with our pain. We need to deal with whatever we're going through. And sometimes I'm seen as cold, but I believe I couldn't be where I am. I was discouraged. My point is, a wound that is not dealt with will invite flies, and eventually it will be a wound. It will have worms. Have you ever been around people who are hurting, always complaining? Nothing is good for them. I know because I went through a period of pain. Last year was just the worst. Last year was the worst. And last year was the year where I complained like you asked Pastor Musa, I never complained like I did. I was always complaining. And now that I think, I didn't see anything wrong then. But now that I think of it, I'm thinking, but what was I complaining about actually? Since I was just complaining about everything and everyone. And now, when I think back, when you deal with people, you don't realize certain things when you are with them. Until later, I realized that all the people that I've dealt with are always complaining. And sometimes you just don't know what people are complaining. And sometimes they just want life to be miserable for everybody else. That is the problem of wounds. Wounds create a cycle. The problem of wounds is they can even create generational cycle. Because my mother was hurt, I also am hurting. My children are going to hurt. Sometimes you don't know about what. And the problem of that is we judge a situation before we find all the facts. Have you ever had an issue with somebody who never did anything to you, but because you were told they are a bad person, somebody told you and you made a decision there and then that they are a bad person, and you tell the next person how bad they are because so and so, particularly if we are told by people that we trust, like parents. You find a family, this family and this family, there are issues. Why? Because of something that happened 100 years ago. If you check these movies, they start and they tell you the history, and somebody is kicking the other one and say, your grandfather killed my grandfather 100 years ago, and you're thinking, where were you 100 years ago, by the way? But it is like that in life. I know in my family we've got issues like that. Sometimes you're caught up in issues that you know nothing about. And if you try to make peace with so and so will get angry with you. And you say, but guys, I know nothing about what you're saying. I think more or less all the families have that situation. It's because our grandfathers, our fathers, they didn't deal with their pain. And sometimes we just encourage that you don't deal with your pain. You just move on. I believe that, there are laws in everything. There are spiritual laws, there are physical laws. You come to spiritual laws, to physical laws, there's a law of gravity. Whether you believe in the law of gravity or you don't, it works. If you don't believe me, just go on the roof and jump or try to jump, and then you see that really it works. If a 2-year-old child can go to the roof and try to jump, they will fall. The reality is a 2-year-old knows nothing about law of gravity. But the fact that they don't know about it doesn't mean it won't work on them. I believe one of the laws of healing is forgiveness. There is no way you can come to me and tell me how educated. There is no way you are going to heal unless you forgive. Knowing who you are will help you to heal. That's why it is very important to spend time on your own. Last year, like I said, last year was my worst year. I spent a lot of time alone. I didn't even have new relationships. I didn't have new friends last year. Even my old friends, most of the people will tell you they never spoke to me last year. Most of the people will count the times they spoke to me. I just created this environment of me, myself, and I. It was important for that time. I'm not saying selfishness is a good thing, but self-awareness is very good. And I remember end of December thinking, why am I wasting time going away, coming back, being alone? And people thought I was nasty. And now I realized, when I realized how healed I am, I realized it's because of the time that I spent on my own. And I always say, in any way, how do you expect other people to enjoy your company if you can't enjoy your own company? For people to be able to enjoy your company, you have to enjoy your own company. And we don't want that in life. I was even taught the principle of boundaries, creating boundaries. I didn't know anything about that. But being on my own, I was taught you need to have your own boundaries. And that is one thing that helped me to heal. Having my own space, doing what I want to do. And this is what I realized. Because I learned the principle of boundaries, being able to say no, not pleasing anyone, it is easier for me to handle it when people say no to me. I'm not going to say I don't get disappointed sometimes. I do. That would be a lie. But disappointment and hate are two different things. Because sometimes one act of rejection can cause a lifetime of pain. Just one act can cause a lifetime of pain. One of the things that really helped me to heal was a sense of gratitude. Just being thankful for everything that I have. Like I'm saying, last year I complained. There's nothing good that was happening. There were a lot of things that happened to me last year. I even bought a car. But no, I couldn't even appreciate that car. I remember on my 30th birthday, I know I look 22, but I'm 30. On my 30th birthday, I cried so much. I was just going through depression, and nobody knew. The only person who knew was my mom. I told her that, and there's this pain that I'm going through. I don't know why. People wanted to take me out. I refused. It is your birthday. I said, I know, but I don't want anyone to be around me. I cried so much. I remember being asked, why are you crying? I said, I don't know, but now, I don't know whether it had to do with the fact that I was turning 30 and I'm a lady. I don't know. But I must tell you, every single thing that ever happened to me came back that day. Every betrayal. And I realized that so many things I had never dealt with. There's so many things, and I think for the sake of this message, God was dealing with me. That's the only explanation. Because after crying for 3 days and getting prayers, I was fine. But I I'm still going through a process. Like I'm saying, healing is a process. Cannot happen in a day, but I'm still going through it, but now I'm really okay. Really, really okay. And somebody told me this, that sometimes I should be thankful on the issue of gratitude. Being thankful for the things that I've gone through at the age that I've gone through. And they said, hey, if you were to go through those things when you were older, it would be difficult for you to deal with them. I discovered something in the Bible yesterday about gratitude. Being thankful about everything that you have. In Luke chapter 17, verse 15, after Jesus healed 10 lepers, when the one came back to him and thanked him, the Bible says, when he saw that he was healed. And this is what I discovered. You can be healed and not know that you're healed. And if you don't see that you are healed, if in your mind you are still in a state of pain, you won't be grateful. That is why the 9 others didn't go back. They didn't see. The only person that they say he saw was that one person who went back. And so sometimes when we feel we are in pain, we don't see anything to be grateful for. And there are so many things. And gratitude in itself can heal you. Heal yourself, heal the world. You can't give what you don't have. The story of South Africa, 1994. Can you imagine where we would have been if Mandela would have come out of jail wounded? The only reason we had peace we are the only country in the world that after oppression we go to peace. It was because the men who came out of jail, the men who had influence, had healed while in jail. Healing is very important. Dealing with our issues, dealing with our wounds will affect so many people. Get personal healing, you will be able to heal the world. We all want to make a difference. We were all created for something. But for us to walk in our purpose, it is only when we get healed.